How to pick up this game. Republic makes him look as flashy as possible there. But man, Invictus Gaming, fantastic form, will be able to finish this one off.
Absolutely.
The story of this game, though, is really the idea of who was in form for Invictus Gaming. Rookie played phenomenally, but the bot lane, Kitties and Rain there, especially on that last team fight, stacking the Brommel with the bullet time was beautiful.
It's always been the big question. Who's going to turn up for Invictus Gaming? It's always Rookie and friends, but this time around it was definitely Team Invictus Gaming, not just Rookie and his pawns.
It is something that we were talking about earlier, though, is like normally this team revolves around their mid laners so much. He actually fell for first blood in that game. EPA looking like they had a lot of control in the early stage, but IG keeping a level head, staying in control. You see a look on their faces like, this is a team ready to win.
Hugs being exchanged there.
They've just gone from a 1-3-1 victory to a team fight victory in the same series in a team that has been defined consistently as inconsistent.
Yeah, and also did both starting each game with a lane swap, which they also demonstrated last week that they flat out just couldn't do.
I think it comes down to that Invictus Gaming went from a mid-tier team to defining themselves as being able to compete with the elite. They've now taken down Edward Gaming. It was fairly sloppy. They looked shaky against Snake. But if they retain this form, this is an Invictus Gaming that's now a dark horse.
Yeah, most definitely. And they were looking like a dark horse towards the end of the LPL last year as well. And we'll see whether they can continue, because it was still the question of consistency, even when they were at this dark horse mode. And that's what made them that dark horse, because, of course, you never really understood what to expect.
Said it at Worlds.
Yeah.
Invictus Gaming go to Worlds. Our first thought was, well, which Invictus Gaming is going to turn up?
Yep.
Turns out it was the wrong Invictus Gaming that turned up all of Worlds. So the same thing can be said now as it was back then. But what we are seeing is consistency.
Yeah, and especially out of that bottom lane. Kitties was fantastic in game number 1. Utterly just incredible. But Rain, this guy, out of nowhere, I'm gonna go back and do some serious research into what the heck this guy came from, because just a Korean player out of solo queue, and see exactly what he's got in store for us next, because if he's going to be playing some Misfortune, maybe we've got some Ash up our sleeve, maybe he's going to be bringing the Sivir back, who knows?
Also Kid. Playing those team fights really well, pulled out the Nidalee, looked much more comfortable on the Gragas this time around, one of the first in the LPL to bring the Gragas back before the 6.3 rotation. So Kid's looking stronger as a jungler. No one expected that. The new bot lane, Rain and Kitty's stronger. Zatai really cementing his career as a top laner. And Rookie, of course, is probably the best performing mid laner other than Icon and Doinby in the LPL.
Yeah, and it's weird having this series where I don't even feel like we should be talking about Rookie right now. He still played fantastically, made sure that he was always at the fights when he needed to be. The Ahri play was brilliant, despite the fact that he got a lot of early attention. But it's about how much further the rest of IG have come up, and now they look like a team that has all of the pieces there in order to take some games off some of these top sides, and we'll see exactly what they're going to do moving forward, because I've only got excitement for this side.
I think that's the most important thing, is they've got all of the tools now to actually put it together, right? And make this fantastic team that's super cohesive. They can make it to top 3, potentially breach the playoffs. But this is a side now that is the first time we're seeing them actually be this team, come together nicely as a cohesive unit. We need to see them come into the next games that they play, be the exact same team. Look to Zatai to get 2 more quadra kills, even be a massive carry. Look to Rain to show up, even if it's just utilizing his AoE Misfortune ultimate, which was massive. If that's all he has to do and they win games effectively and teamfight effectively, then just keep doing that.
Yeah. On the other side of the coin, it is, of course, EPA, and there are a few positives to take from this team as well. They were looking, a little bit shaky in game number 1, but they turned around with a planned game number 2. They were ahead for the majority of the early game. We are going to see the MVP going over to Kid here. My God, 3-0 and 12, 88% kill participation. What a beast from the jungle. Just really making stuff happen. But I do want to give some credit here to EPA. They just came off a victory against HYG, looking a lot better there. And in this series, allowing IG to look legitimately good, as opposed to just sort of running over the top of EPA.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the fact that EPA, like you said, were proactive in that game. They came in with the plan. They executed the lane swap. It wasn't perfect, but it was much cleaner than we've seen from them. The question was, with with these LSPL teams, can they play the map, or is it all just about mechanical brute strength? Especially in Game 2, having the early lead, Republic in the mid lane playing phenomenally, getting the kill on Rookie. I mean, that's, again, the best mid laner in the LPL. And I know that the junglers were there, but it was effectively a solo kill.
And he played it incredibly well there, just like straight in, I'm going to use my flash immediately, make sure I lock down this Ahri, and then she didn't find the charm. Just wasn't expecting that level of aggression out of Republic.
This is something that we've seen from EPA a lot, is they have got a lot of victories, right? They were 6 and 8 before this series, and yeah, they went down 0 and 2. But EPA have always looked good. In every single series they've lost, they look like they've had a solid showing. It's just never actually became a result. So, I mean, there's still a lot to work on for EPA, but definitely, every single time I've seen them play, they've had potential.
Yeah, there's been these just moments of brilliance out of nowhere. Gimgoon there as well, managing to get that kill on a relatively over-aggressive Zatai towards the bottom side of the map. And I have to say that, honestly, of all sort of the players on the side of EPA, it was Gimgoon that was maybe not stepping up as much as we were possibly expecting, but was still able to dash around the rift on the Rammus and get the work done on the old Quinn.
He was doing work, but he was definitely put down by Invictus Gaming. I feel like if IG were actually signaling anyone to keep down, it was Gimgoon. I do agree that it was kind of like hit and miss, especially on his Rammus game, but he was put in a very difficult situation, and I think he made the best of it come near the end and was really the primary catalyst for the reach back that they almost made in Game 1.
Yeah, he did start the game for game number 2 in a 2-0-0 position, had a bit of a CS advantage there as well on the Quinn into the Fiora. But it just seemed like the mid game was navigated so well from IG that they couldn't quite do it, or was it maybe a ball drop? I don't quite know.
He was a Quinn into a Misfortune Braum. So the second the Quinn tries to go in at all, he's going to go down. It's just that simple. He got AoE'd, and he was playing a champion that wasn't tanky. If he were the Rammus in Game 2, it could have been a different story, but I think what I liked the most is that they did try and show adaptability and play the Quinn Lissandra composition, which is flex, and they were trying to 1-3-1 back at Invictus Gaming. I think it was the concept of IG did it to us in Game 1. Maybe they've spent this week going back and doing entirely macro play. We'll just match it in Game number 2, and then they got out team fought. So the idea, once again, for EPA, well and truly there. I just think that when it came to execution, they got out thought, I guess.
Yeah, and it has looked like an IG that really has been on the ball as far as that macro play. That has been really what this team is able to demonstrate to us in this series, and that's what's been so beautiful to see out of this side. We'll see whether we are going to see any more as things go on. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. After this, it is, of course, going to be Chaogu taking on RNG for our massive head-to-head of the two best teams in each group. Let's see exactly what's going to happen right after this break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our English broadcast of the Chinese LPL. I am Max Atlas Anderson, still joined by Froskerin and Rusty on the desk. And we're up to the big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is first versus first across the groups. It's going to be RNG taking on QG. We'll see which group's better. We'll see which top team is going to take it all.
We already know which group is better. Group B is significantly better. The teams are stacked there, but that doesn't mean that Xiaogu still can't be the best team in the LPL, but they need to prove it now.
Most definitely do. Of course, they lost their first map last week. Of course, with Uzi on the roster, which is a little bit upsetting, but Peko then coming back, destroying game number 3 there as well. And QG have sort of shown maybe one faltering right now, but is there any stopping this train, Rusty?
Every LPL team seems to randomly falter at some point. It's just the way that the LPL works, and it's a blessing and a curse all the same. Is there a way to stop QG? Well, if there is a way, we're about to find out. RNG probably the best competition they will have up to date, being first of the opposition group and in a very strong group at that.
Yeah, most definitely. The other question is as well, I mean, we have seen a lot of priority being put on this Nidalee at the moment. We saw Kid play fantastically game number 1 in our first series, and then also banned away the next series as well, not wanting to allow that to be in the hands of EPA. But now we've got Swift as well, sort of the Nidalee monster able to pick that one up, not to mention MLXG, who has also played a heck of a lot of the champion. This could be a real big contested point for both these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Nidalee is probably going to be the #1 contested pick. I suspect that it might not make it through draft phase, though. It has a very heavy ban rate against both these champions, especially Xiaogu. Nidalee was a target banned against them before Nidalee even took off with the changes to Runic Echoes. I really want to talk about how we identify these teams, though, and understanding their playstyles and why this is such a very interesting stylistic matchup. So you have QG. Everyone knows them. They're the team fighting team, although we're actually going to start with Royal Never Gives Up in their lineup. RNG are a very forward, aggressive, vision-oriented team. This is Looper, this is Mata. So what happens is Mata, MLXG, and Looper will constantly invade the enemy jungle, place down deep vision, and then skirmish and collapse over that deep vision when the enemy team comes to clear it out. So technically, their macro is really beautiful and very advanced for LPL teams. The issue is skirmishing or fighting against QG can be certain death.
Certainly can be. And of course, they have members of the RNG lineup like MLXG, who just tends to like to put his face in it whenever he possibly can.
Mata also puts his face in it a lot. I know this doesn't mean a ton, but the lowest CS at 10 minutes for any of the supports is actually Mata. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that Mata's a bad player. It means that he's not in the lane at all. He's constantly doing Mata things by running into the enemy jungle, leaving Wushin alone, as you see him on your screen right there, the 80 carry for RNG, and leading the charge on that vision.
Yeah, and you can see he still plays all of the Targon supports as well. It's not like he's just been playing Janna and picking up a coin, not actually hitting any CS. This guy has been picking up that Targon, it's just not actually making it work. The Relic Shield not exactly netting him as much gold. But of course, we are going to cross to the other side of the rift here. And this is the interesting story, because how this team that has so much strategic prowess with the fact that they have the Looper Mata show, how are they going to fare against QG, who've just looked honestly infallible in a whole lot of their games?
And in really good spirits.
Yeah,
they definitely have been. That is pretty much the question, Atlas. How will they perform? And Proskerin's already highlighted the fact that RNG, they are forward with their positioning. They like to advance towards you, bleed you out from all of your objectives and just make your life miserable. Well, QG, they're a team that faces this adversity with fists and just stops you at where they stand.
Damn right. You could see Uzi on the lineup there looking utterly terrifying. Intimidation factor right there, but Peko will be starting on the roster as we are going to go through. V there in the top lane. This guy's just been the selfless man up there, just always getting in amongst it. Of course, his Lissandra play coming to mind pretty much predominantly, as he just throws himself at it and then allows the rest of his team to carry through. So much trust.
Yeah. The trust is something that I think all of QG have definitely adapted. Swift and Doinby in particular. I think it's a teamwork relationship built on trust almost entirely, and it's mostly Doinby trusting Swift. And the unique thing about this team is Doinby expends his mana pool to push so that Swift can invade. And that's where the real contrast comes between these teams.
Yeah. Seeing on our screen right there, I hadn't actually noticed the damage share statistic as well for Doinby, 32%. And as a mid laner, that is is a heck of a lot. I mean, it's only 28% coming out of Peko, the man with the 16.7 KDA. Completely ridiculous performances. But Doinby does a heck of a lot of work for this team.
Doinby is possibly the most overlooked member on QG for the longest time. I'm glad that he's finally starting to get a lot of the recognition. Rusty already kind of pointed out the genius behind Doinby's laning and why he's constantly spamming his mana to hold down the enemy laner, keep them at low health so it opens up space for Swift to make these invades. But I mean, a big catalyst for QG kind of shifting their power more towards the early game are on picks that Swift and Doinby are making in particular. The fact that Swift is changing to early game junglers and Doinby is getting more comfortable to take his LeBlanc, to take his, pretty much, yeah, I'm going to go with the LeBlanc.
So it builds into this very unique dynamic, though. If he's not running teleport and he's expending his mana, actually is the undoing of QG as a team composition early, because if RNG are going to meet you in skirmish early, they're going to invade, and they want their mid laner to rotate, which Xiaohu will. If Doinby tries to match him, doesn't have teleport, won't have mana, never has mana.
Yep.
If he doesn't have teleport, he can't actually be there and help. So they do run a risk, essentially, of Swift being left to his own devices to fight MLXG. MLXG wants to fight you back.
Yeah, he most certainly does. If there's anyone that is going to go hyper-aggressive in the jungle, it is definitely MLXG. Swift has been known to definitely answer. I mean, this guy, it's like, this jungle matchup is definitely juggernauts butting heads. We'll see exactly who's going to have the support, because, of course, Doinby definitely known for being there for Swift, which is funny because you expect it to be sort of the jungler that's kind of come to the aid of the mid laner. It is definitely the other way around for QG, but they make it work beautifully.
Victor ban.
Victor banned away first up. Doinby's played it back-to-back games 3 times in a row.
Doinby's record on Victor is 21-8 professionally.
Jesus. And that was before they were by far and away the best team in the LPL as well. So
Lots more target bans are available as well, given that Rise is a non-factor. So RNG, that is pretty much target bans. And one of the most interesting things coming into this champion select is every single role has one champion that is shared between the two. Mid lane, LeBlanc between Xiaohu and Doinby is actually a kind of a big deal. Junglers is Nidalee, top laners is Poppy, AD carries Ezreal, and supports 2 bans that you're looking at there from RNG.
Well, who plays Gangplank? That's the real question. Is that one slipped all the way through the draft? Nidalee as well.
It's about the Nidalee. We said that this was going to be a super contested pick. MLXG played this before it was Vogue. Swift, this is one of his best champions. You can't give it away.
Yep. Well, RNG do manage to pick up the Nidalee, but what 2 massive picks are QG going to pick up now? Because with the Quinn, with the Lissandra on the ban list, as well as the Victor and Braum, what do you now do? Braum and Alistair both being banned away. Moore's champion pool has now been destroyed.
He can pull out the Janna.
He can pull out anything, of course, but that was just the 2 champions he was most definitely playing more often than not. As QG are going to prioritize the Kalista. They grab the Poppy there as well. That's the big deal. Most likely in the hands of V in the top lane.
And then immediately you have to pick up the Thresh in this rotation since Braum and Alistair are taken away. You don't want to give Thresh to Kalista.
Yeah.
It almost feels like both of these teams with their drafting have got the other's number, and it's like a back and forth battle of who's going to end up with the best pick overall.
I want to see Lupa take Nautilus here.
It's not a bad decision, but I don't think that that's something Lupa will be inclined to do in this rotation.
Well, see what does happen. Of course, Fent works quite well against the old Kalista.
Yeah, Corki. Be worth picking up here.
Well, actually, Nautilus is going to be locked in. So RNG, they're listening to me, which is dangerous. See whether it is going to work out.
No, it's good. They pick it for Lupa. It's away from V as well. I was just questioning the order that they actually picked it. So they do value that, knowing that QG in their second rotation could go for it and take it away. And that's all this drafting is. It's actually taking away from the other team. Nidalee, Nautilus taken away. 2 support bans, so Thresh is by default taken away from a Kalista.
Yeah.
QG took the Poppy away as well, and the Kalista themselves, because they usually default to Ezreal, but they have taken that from RNG.
Well, now it is going to be the Morgana Hovered at the moment. QG now with a few options. They have the final pick there as well, so we'll see exactly what is going to be picked up for the mid lane for Xiaohu, whether it is going to be Doinby taking something there as the final pickup. Swift. Yeah.
This could be a mid Morgana that's flexed.
I know.
One of the few champions or players that can do this.
Well, that's also possibly a flexed Poppy as well. as something has to go into the support position.
Well, Trundle's still available.
True.
The ultimate in flex.
Jeez, and then no one would know what's going on at all anywhere. And then they play Gragas in the mid lane, Morgana top, Trundle jungle, and Kalista Poppy. I love it. I reckon that'd be amazing.
The Ezreal, though.
The Kog'Maw has slipped all the way through at the same time, so this is really quite frightening. A few options now for RNG as Yahoo is considering what he wants to take into the mid lane.
That'd be aggressive. Going for a Zed.
Yeah.
I even think the Kog'Maw to an extent would be aggressive.
I feel like they need to take an earlier lane-dominant champion simply because they want to be skirmishing. I feel like RNG's key to success here, find the winning lane matchups, have MLXG invade with Mata on the Thresh, and just make sure that you get the better rotation.
It's
and
genius.
The early lane game.
I've got it. They picked Nautilus so that Doinby couldn't.
Yeah.
And then they picked the Zed.
Damn right.
We've cracked the code. RNG's draft is infallible.
If you pick Nautilus away from QG, you theoretically stump 3 lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magical stuff. But of course, the Zed is now being locked in on the side of RNG.
I was going to say, he's got his LeBlanc and Kassadin left to him.
Yeah, Kassadin actually does strangely well in the matchup, does he not?
Yeah. Somewhat.
Still all smiles on the side of Doinby, though, as they do lock in the LeBlanc. One champion that has, been banned away a fair bit.
A 70% win rate on LeBlanc professionally.
When you start the season with a 100% win rate on most things.
That's lifetime.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, that's different.
Yeah. It's not just this season.
Well, that sounds like a better statistic. As now RNG
that
and
got
QG
relevant.
they have their team comps locked in. It is going to be more on the Morgana support. Now with Peko there on the Kalista. Morgana Kalista, we haven't seen it for quite some time, but can work to very great effect. You get the knock-up plus the Dark Binding, but we'll see exactly how it goes. And a lot of different things being shown for both of these teams. See who's going to be able to take it.
Yeah, a lot of early strength from RNG. I think playing to their style as a team. The Thresh Lucian, they probably want standard lanes, whereas Kalista Morgana is running a risk if they do go standard themselves. If a binding ever misses, or Mata being able to just walk up to you and threaten the flake and force the black shield where you just hook the other person.
Yeah.
Has to be very particular in how they play this bottom lane QG and if they actually want the bottom lane at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right, but coaches are going to shake hands. It is going to be the top teams battling it out from either group. It's up onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for RNG versus QG. Game number 1. The 2 #1 teams on either sides of this conference.
68% of Twitter thinks that QG are going to take this match.
Really?
Yep. All 5 of them.
Based on a poll you just ran?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I got us with the stats, boys.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you.
Heavy hitting.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lupa is going to be taking the Nautilus towards the top side of the map. If QG know anything, it's how to play with a Nautilus. We'll see whether they know how to play against it. Which you have seen a few times, of course, so they do know.
There is a bit of a lane swapping situation going on here as we do have Peko and more on the top side of the map. That said, RNG are also all clustered up there, so we still could end up with standard lanes.
I think we will as well.
Yeah, just a bit upside down.
I think QG are about to find RNG's bottom lane, though. This is so when you lane swap as QG, and this could be a late invade. What you do?
Late invade to check the camp.
Yeah, so what you do is you late invade, you stop them from jungling and push them out of the entire side of the jungle. But what they're about to do is find RNG straight in their face holes.
Yep, back pings are going to go out. As QG are just going to start off this blue buff. with 4 men strong.
MLXG, this is really cute though if he gets this. Yeah, because he can deny the Wolves and get vision of QG if they continue to do the Gromp. And yep, standard lanes, upside down.
Yeah, but Blue is going to be denied there. Swift grabbing that one, teleport towards the bottom side of the map. As Looper now to deal with V. And MLXG going to go for the invade. Tries to find himself a blue buff.
Certainly will find himself that blue buff. Naturally, Nidalee this early in the game gets quite low without the heal available. So level 3 is where the speed of jungle clear goes up immensely, whereas Gragas always going to be happy.
Most definitely. And we'll see how Peko goes. Of course, one of the first times he's been without his Ezreal for quite some time. They decided to pick that one. I think it's been at least the last 5 games in a row. The QG have utilized that guy, and we'll see whether they're going to be able to play out the Kalista game as smoothly.
And Pekka's really been kind of the monster of this team. Has the highest kill participation of anyone on the team, has an incredible KDA, has been performing brilliantly on that Ezreal, kind of dancing across the team fights. But like Rusty said, you know, prioritizing denial in this ban phase, taking away the Kalista from Wushin.
Who has been a standout. Especially considering the fact that, you know, has never really been one of the top 80 carries in the league when he was first around, but he's definitely had a breakthrough performance at the start of this.
He reminds me a bit of Uzi in that he has a lot of forward aggression, but it's not quite as tempered as it should be for him to kind of mature. But he's a very young player. Again, RNG, they're flanked by these all-knowing veterans in Looper and Mata, but otherwise you have 3 very young Chinese players that are either coming on to their second split or not even a year of competitive play. Xiaohu, one of the youngest players in the league.
Yeah. Oh, V actually going to find Looper, smack him against the wall. Titan's Wrath going to wear off, but Riptide just does silly damage, guys. That is why Nautilus is pretty stupid.
I mean, it's a Doran's Blade advantage as well for the Nautilus. You have to remember that QG tried to put the lane swap into effect, thought they had the numbers advantage and were going to double jungle, but RNG matching it blindly kind of puts them into disarray. V having a teleport in that first wave is now going to stay without his teleport down an item as well. So whilst those trades looked okay, Looper does have the advantage.
It's also a Nautilus pick that was picked into the Kalista. Before, obviously, it was kind of anytime you saw the Kalista, you would pick the Maokai just because of his ability to zoom on top of her. Nautilus's ultimate is doing effectively the same thing.
Well, meanwhile, Pekko's going to get hooked in the top lane, gets the heal out, but Dark Binding lands onto Mata. MLXG off to the side, doesn't get the spear. That was blind onto Pekko there underneath the turret.
They're keeping them here, though, so the dive threat is there.
Swift is rotating.
Yeah, they force Gragas to rotate.
There's so many creeps as well that Pekko is going to struggle to pick up underneath this turret with all of this pressure. Yep, Swift hanging around. You can see Nidalee has definitely left. There's now Woosh playing very far up. Lots of aggression out of this wife steal bottom lane.
You know, there's no heal available for Pekko either, so appropriate play from QG, besides that last hitting.
Yeah, that
we'll
was
forgive
not
that
so great. When the pressure's on, you know, it's hard to lock down every one of those caster creeps.
And speaking of appropriate laning, Doinby so oppressive right now with his early range advantage. 26 to 41 CS and just kind of standing on the back half of those caster creeps, daring Xiaohu to come up for it.
Yeah, he's definitely not wanting to. Of course, that wave is going to shove into him, but you're exactly right. The dominance of this LeBlanc play. We've seen, like, Doinby just looks like he's having the best time ever when he plays LeBlanc.
He always looks so happy, too.
Just in general, yeah.
It's a happy guy.
He doesn't, I can't blame him if this is how he's going to lane against Xiaohu into a Zed.
Yeah, damn right.
It's been said rather to be one of the better matchups also for LeBlanc with early laning phase. It's that first buy where Zed starts to find power and you really question your existence as a LeBlanc.
Can be tough. Death Sentence lands onto Moore, though. Fantastic hook of the flayback as well as Moore's burning down. Flash forward from Woosh and grabs the first blood and just not sure what Moore was doing.
Frankly, a really delayed spell shield there. Excuse me, black shield.
This could be considered an uncomfortable champion for Moore, given how they target banned the support role and pick the Thresh.
Yeah.
Moore, obviously, making a rather big mistake by not black shielding himself soon enough.
And again, we really haven't even touched on the fact that, yes, Moore's put on an an uncomfortable champion, but Mata has his namesake. He's not playing with his skin, but Mata's Thresh.
Yeah, damn right. Nice spear there, lands onto Doinby as is trying to move around and see what MLXG is doing, but he has been putting the pressure on exactly where he needs to, but also staying ahead in the farm. He's ahead by that Amp Tome as well if he was to meet Swift in the jungle. That being said, decent farm for these top laners as Lupa and V have been going very even towards the bottom side of the map.
This is opening a whole new can of worms though for QG. Pico's usually the only person who goes even, if not ahead.
Yeah.
At all stages of this game, but mid lane's doing well and top lane's doing even, so an interesting dynamic here for QG to work around, especially in skirmishes.
You've seen as well, it is about 1,000 gold the lead, as RNG haven't even taken a turret. It is going to be the Rend being used, so has to go back, but now Whoosh with a big buy. Let's see what he picks up moving back into this lane. BF sword, double longsword. My god, that is a huge Lucian.
Pretty much. That is a massive Lucian, and I mean the question has to be raised again. Do QG actually want standard lanes? Knowing what this first buy is about to be into 2 longswords, or do they actually just want to swap and start breaking turrets now?
Oh, well, Mort once again going to get hooked as Mata just going to stop the back.
Also stopped Pico's back in anticipation of maybe needing the ultimate.
Yeah.
Looks like they are actually going to return to the top lane, however.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for RNG to pull the trigger on the forward aggressive into Swift's jungle. They haven't done it yet. It's been mostly just defensive wards. We do see one placed deep on Swift's red.
Xiaohu now just more than happy to clear out creep wave after creep wave and disappear.
Here we go. Okay, so we've got the initial back from Zed. We know that the top lane is heavily in favor of RNG, and immediately on second rotation for red, the trigger is pulled. This is what RNG do. They lay deep aggressive vision and they skirmish and collapse over it.
Nice binding though. QG definitely aware of this.
Well, there's the hook onto Doinby. The death mark's out there as well as he's going to fall down. MLXG grabs that one as the LeBlanc gets deleted.
This is just straight up Mata. Every single time he's hitting the hook, he played the distortion. And RNG, they work around their strengths and now they siege top.
Yeah, looking for the dive here. Xiaohu doesn't have the ultimate, but he's going to close the gap onto Moore here. There's the Fate's Call as Pekko's going to bring him out of this fight, but V's teleported. The ultimate's down, knocks 2 away. We'll see whether QG can now collapse as the death sentence once again onto the Poppy. They're trying to get Lupa out of the way, but he's completely out of mana. Spear doesn't land from MLXG, but all 5 now collapsing back towards his top lane. RNG. This is the coordinated macro play we're expecting from this side, and they are bringing it all today.
And this was the question, would QG be able to out-skirmish RNG? But like Rusty is saying, Mata just so on point with this champion and leading the charge every single time.
Crazy thing is that they're playing, you know, Pekko and Kalista when they've got one of the best Kalista players in the world on the bench.
To be fair, I don't blame QG for starting Pekko over Uzi.
Definitely not.
You can't also swap mid.
No, you
champions,
can't.
so like to be fair, and I think it's
oh
wow.
There's the flash pounce. More
Red buff.
Red buff. Oh my god, that was 10 health.
He has literally. Oh wow.
Yeah, that was 10 health. That was almost single digits. MLXG miscalculated. I can't
had
believe
exhaust. Didn't use his exhaust.
No, calculated, man. He just knew that he wasn't going to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now MLXG and Mata have been unlocked, and they will spend more time in Swift's jungle than in anyone else's lane. And this is what's beautiful about RNG. It's that they understand that vision is an objective, and they use this objective, move it around the map to their strong side, and force you to fight over it.
Yeah, Nautilus is going to be able to handle Kalista as well if they try and split push on Pico. It does feel like RNG, they have the answer to everything that Xiaohu are trying to put in place.
That said, we can never discount the kings of team fighting. They've won game from much larger gold deficits than this, but again, not on comfort champions.
Yeah, exactly right. 20 CS in the lead is Whoosh as well. On this Lucian, playing fantastically well. Essence Reaver now completed at the same time as Doinby is well and truly ahead of Xiaohu. MLXG is going down quite low taking this first dragon, but is going to be able to lock it through. And it is an arm guard first item for Doinby. He wants to get to that Zhonya's as quickly as he possibly can.
Makes a lot of sense. He's against the Zed, and they both got resistances for one another. Especially if Xiaohu tries any kind of funny business with split pushing. And they need to throw a Callista Morgana mid at all. And then he can combat that. And the Boots of Lucidity. Also, early efficiency with that cooldown reduction and reduced summoners. So it can flash more often.
Like it. Well, Peko now going to be answering the Zed here in the mid lane, trying to pick up whatever farm the Callista can. Xiaohu now just clearing out vision towards the side lanes. We'll see whether it is just going to be split push Zed for the entire game.
Well, he's certainly got the ward coverage should he look that direction.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that is an abundance of RNG wards.
It's almost like they have Mata on their team.
Yeah, weird, right?
Who?
Oh, wait, hang on. No, there he is. Huh. 3,000 gold the lead, though, for RNG as they're looking brilliant the early stage of this game.
They still have a Gragas, actually, QG as well. So if any mid lane battles commence, you know, the best champion to break it is the Flash Body Slam cast combo. You have a lot of follow-up, I will say, with the Morgana binding. RNG need to be careful with that.
Well, Dark Binding going to land on MLXG, but he's not going to be too worried. As Whoosh all the way in. Looper off to the side. Riptide tearing Swift apart, actually. As this turret now down to about half health. Whoosh very far up. Not afraid of anything. Is MLXG going to steal away the blue?
Another thing very unique to RNG in terms of their region is that they'll contest every single buff. Again, they will never shy away from a point to force a fight or a small skirmish.
This RNG side, it just doesn't look like the same team that lost to WE last week.
Well, the issue with RNG is that they don't curb their aggression, whether they're ahead or behind. Again, you have two veterans, but you're flanking very young, inexperienced players. MLXG's primary problem in 2015 is just he's so aggressive. It looks beautiful when he's ahead because you're like, yes, he knows he's ahead, he's taking the proactive initiative. No, he just wants to kill people. It doesn't matter if he's 5k gold up or 5k gold down. He's doing the exact same thing.
The trick with MLXG is he knows himself. For win or lose, he will be the exact same.
Yep.
He does know himself, though.
You do, you.
Moves the heck out of it. Whereas QG, they're also renowned for being behind early.
Yeah, precisely. It's only 3,000 gold here at 15 minutes.
It's always, whenever QG is on the Rift, it's always just kind of like this timing, this closing window of opportunity. You've got maybe
It's
10.
going. Yeah.
Exactly. 12 minutes to just get the fastest lead you can before they just start ramping.
I wish it was easy to say as like a forgiving feature of QG just by being a good team. It's like, all right, everyone gets 12. Once it hits 13, we try.
They allow you to play no rush 20.
But unfortunately, no. That is just their inability to play these early games. And they tried to lane swap because of the drafting that they actually had, and that's what came back to bite them in this particular game.
Well, speaking of back to bite them, it's some decent culling damage out from Whoosh. He's trying to get damage on the turret, but nice wave clear is going to come out here from QG.
Really respecting the Dark Binding for more.
Yeah.
Of course, he had his Relentless Pursuit available to him. But again, another buff goes down. They don't quite get there in time, but you see the exact same mentality. Mata's coming around the corner, Spear comes through. They want to contest every single one.
And there's a pink ward now very deep in the QG side of the map. This is exactly what you were saying. It's oppressive in their vision.
Yeah.
And everything on the side of RNG.
They are still putting the Zed behind, though, by doing all of this. They've tried to accelerate the pace of the game by breaking that mid lane turret, so they bring in Lucian and Thresh. But Doinby is just sitting in this bottom lane, and he is continuing to beat down Xiaohu. And because it's the longer lane, it's much more effective.
Yeah.
And what's funny is Xiaohu was mostly known as a control mage player, obviously kind of the big Azir guy, Azir falling off of the meta. Not that he can't play the assassins, but I almost feel like it would have done better for this composition if he had picked up a control mage.
That's adorable.
Just look at Xiaohu. He didn't know that Doinby was there, walked into the lane to take a single minion, and instantly was like, hang on, no way that LeBlanc is here. and now just farms with his shadow. That's complete resignation.
Well, I mean, he doesn't need to make an over-aggressive move right now. He doesn't need to be winning this split push because the rest of the map is winning for RNG. So I actually quite like the more passive play, just because what's the point of making
They're just trying to consolidate resources around the map in terms of the gold funneling through the lanes. But QG, since they're so used to playing from behind, this is actually something they do incredibly effectively. And unfortunately, RNG don't look quite as effective as spreading around their gold.
Spread the wealth. Well, QG holding on to this mid-outer turret as well as Whoosh make his way over. My god, more. Taking the majority of his health bar from that spear.
Dragon's up in 15 seconds, so immediately we see RNG again placing down their deep vision, applying pressure on their sideways.
And this is why I will say that Xiaohu playing passively is a mistake, because the one time he plays aggressively, it's pretty obvious that people are nearby.
Well, that's a good point. And Doinbeat moving back towards the mid lane. No one actually at the Dragon just yet as the siege was on. RNG managing to get this tower down very, very low. QG holding onto it with just a sliver of health. And Doinbeat tanking a spear. Every one of these spears matters. As Moore's going to get caught. Yes, it does. Fate's Call's going to bring him out of there, but there's the depth charge. Doinbeat does have the black shield. But RNG now going to be able to take this Dragon. There are just not enough health bars available for QG.
Nope, not enough health. And this comes down to MLXG's poke on Italy one more time. Doinbeat still has to attend that split pushing, and honestly, the one time he tries to rotate group with the team, cops a spear to the face. And has to back off near immediately.
Well, Doinbeat does get the QR combo onto Xiaohu. Still does half of his health bar as he's now completed that Zhonya's Hourglass. This LeBlanc almost up with the clock in the farm as well. Doinbeat's playing fantastically, despite the fact that he has fallen down that one time. 3,000 gold, close to 4. Now the lead for RNG in this game. But 40 CS, or 36 CS in favor for Whoosh. As far as this AD carry matchup is concerned, Peko yet to build the Hurricane just yet. We'll see whether this Kallisto can get the work done as the game moves on.
This gold lead still starting to balloon in RNG's favor.
Yeah.
My one concern, though, is if they can just get over that hump of the first team fight, the true 5v5, I think if they win there, they should be able to close this one out fairly easily.
Well, they have a lot of options for making that happen as well. Nautilus able to get things started pretty easily as well as the hooks.
Okay.
Whoosh just going to dance right on top of the LeBlanc. What? Doinbeat going to lock down that kill. Mata may follow as well as he gets hooked by the chains. That was a great hook, but it's a double kill for Doinbeat. Welcome back into the game, Xiaohu. Whoosh says, yeah, you're welcome.
Remember that apt comparison that I made to Uzi?
Yeah.
And how he's just not quite as tempered?
Well, you know how this time around, instead of giving them 12 minutes, QG gave them 19 before turning on some aggression. I think this time around it was Whoosh, honestly, that decided he was the hero that
hook
RNG deserved, and Swift throwing the keg on his teammates to really secure the victory on that
Celebratory barrel.
I was going to say, it's like the Gatorade pour.
Yeah, damn right. Oh, yeah.
Game's not over yet for Oscar, and you don't pour Gatorade on teammates when you're 20 minutes into a game.
Yeah, don't count your chickens before they're Gatorade.
That's why I never won at sports.
Yeah, it's a don't Gatorade your hens before they chicken, right?
Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Things are weird in Australia.
Yeah, before the fat lady Gatorades.
The fat crocodile, man.
Well,
Mid-tier tower will fall from RNG, so they've been consistently scraping away from that and now moving that pressure over again into Swift's red side jungle.
Yeah, this red buff is going to fall down as well as Whoosh grabs that one. Has adapted the Lucian build to have the static shiv now that we're on 6.3.
Some power put back into that item.
Yeah, you can crit on it as well, which is very exciting.
I think it's a primarily wave clear that he gets from it as well. Doesn't mean he has to use his ultimate every time QG pressures.
Yep.
They're going to be running a 1-3-1, and between a Nidalee and a Thresh, they don't really have wave clear, so needs it himself at all times.
Well, V actually taking this time to even out the farm here as he's getting some free time in the top lane. See whether he can actually get some pressure onto this outer turret, as QG are actually setting up for some sort of surprise attack here around the Baron area. 21.5 minutes. This Looper
They
can aggressive.
I'm waiting for them to dive top.
Yeah. I was going to say, that top lane turret is one hit. They can choose between mid or top.
Oh, Whoosh actually taking a lot of damage there, but nice shields available. Arda throws out the Dark Passages. Yahoo tags more with a bit of damage with that Shuriken, but other than that, yeah, nothing too much going to be found. But you just can't stand in an area for a prolonged time. You just can't against MLXG.
I mean, yeah, essentially. And right now, QG have been controlling the map, though, so that was an opportunity for them to make a play and stay around. They had bot lane pushing to the point where Yahoo had to go and attend it. They've got a Nautilus and Poppy sitting in top lane, so numbers was in their favor. But it can only be in their favor for so long as it's coy play here from RNG.
Yeah, cute little stuff working out. Of course, they do like to play around their vision, set it up, and then defend it, as that spear is not quite going to nab the Morgana on her way back home. And Yahoo looking to try and get some serious damage onto this turret. Without the Ghost Blade pop there as well, yeah. Doinby actually makes his way over, but doesn't find the chain, as they almost take this one down. Yahoo's just not leaving. They'll get it.
Yeah, they catch QG recalling. They make an immediate rotation. RNG, they've already got vision set up in this area, so super smart rotation, super effective as well. As V trades back.
There it is. Tower trade. Nailed it.
What's that? They took the bottom one? I got you covered.
Well, now they're actually looking to loop around and try and grab a kill onto Looper. He's now overextended quite a long way because that turret just fell down. Riptide's there, but he's slowed down. The ultimate's in through as well for V. There's the depth charge. Sorry, the dredge line is...
Fair enough.
Yep, completely whiffed. The heroic charge into what's left of the turret, but Looper gets out with the Dark Passage. And QG can't find it. They've actually re-engaged. Swift now in so much trouble as he walks into the culling. Whoosh is going to lock down the kill. As Yahoo finally falls down. V now trying to dance away from this fight as Peko has the aid of Moore, who's got the ultimate down. MLXG takes out Doinby, but Marta is going to fall in the backline. King Peko gets something done, but no, he can't, because MLXG's a gigantic kitty cat. And the dredge line's going to be their triple kill for MLXG.
And RNG, they pick up a complete ace on QG. The team fighting team get out team fought. But there are some very obvious and glaring mistakes that came out in that fight we can address in a replay, because RNG, they're on the Baron.
They're on the Baron, already down half health here as well. As QG, they got no teleports, they got nothing. They ain't getting to this. And Whoosh with a whole bunch of damage, helping MLXG out. They'll grab it. And that is a huge swing.
So much of this is on Looper. He flashes the body slam, he dodges the cask. So much has been used to try to pull this guy down, grabs the Dark Passage, and then suddenly RNG just turn it on.
Then lands the dredge line.
But like Swift completely overextends himself afterwards as well. Gets re-engaged on. Once they had that lantern available, QG should probably be backing up. And desperation as Doinby gets completely executed. Try as they might, this team fighting team, without Swift there, they're missing their key link.
Dredge line.
Boom.
Super close as well.
Yeah.
Mata.
Yeah, all business for this guy.
It's a big game. This is 1v1.
Damn right. 1v1 me, bro. Group A versus Group B.
Yeah.
The conference match. The title.
East versus West. Only one survivor. I mean, winner. Both teams are going to survive, guys.
But with the Baron, it's now about which objective RNG are going to identify and attack next. They've now just completed the Dragon, reset the map, and spent all of their gold. Obviously, most important objective on the map currently is going to be that mid-tier tower.
Yeah. Peko now trying to catch back up as well. Does have the Renan's Hurricane, so that 2-item power spike for the Callista is there, but my god, look at Whoosh. 3 items strong already as Doinby looking for the desperation play. Death Sentence almost finds V off to the side. And now QG just grouping up. They're defending their red buff now, as Spears landing left, right, and center.
Yeah, they won't be defending their red buff for long, but if they can keep attention of RNG focused...
Xiaohu needs to go top.
Yeah, that would work. They go anywhere, but again, QG, if they keep them busy, you want to spend 30 seconds killing a pink ward, that's 30 seconds you've got a Baron buff that you're not pushing. It's a small thing, but it means a large deal.
Well, you can see Looper now towards the top side of the map. He's going to get rid of a pink ward and now use that Baron buff. Start shoving these waves forward. Let's see how RNG are able to close this one out against QG, or whether they're going to give QG another way in.
Well, they're closing gap on that 10k gold lead. It's about 8 right now.
QG have done it from 10, so you have to remain vigilant, and that's why RNG are closing out slowly.
Yeah.
To make sure everything they do is right.
Cannot afford to make any mistakes, as Yahoo just instantly clears out that minion wave. You can see there are also 3 dragons on the side of RNG. They've got multiple ways that they can win this game. As Pekko now continues to clear things out in the mid lane. Does now have the QSS. We'll see whether that is going to spell good times here for QG, as it's going to be a lot onto a lot of these members, as Mata decides not to take the long ride on the death sentence.
That would have been a long ride to death.
Yep.
I believe we could just shorten that, and Mata decides not to feed.
Yep, okay, that's a good way to do it.
I like the long ride.
A long ride defeating. Chains land onto Zhao, who has to use the shadow defensively. The box is down, though, as the disengage is on from RNG. They can't siege out this turret. Zhao falling low. See whether they reset.
Swift is on the side, again. Has flash, as well as the cask available to him.
They have no idea he's there.
Yeah,
Oh.
off to the side, doesn't land the body slam, though.
Really?
There's the explosive cask as he flashes back over the wall. B, right in amongst it in the back line as he knocks up 2 of the carries on the side of RNG, but they're all going so low. They're culling, doing so much work, as it is Zhao off to the side that grabs the kill with the death mark. This is uncharacteristic flaws in the play of QG as they lose the inner turret in
Really
the mid lane.
Poor target selection from Swift. He knocked Mata into the team.
It didn't even knock them into the team, it was into the wall.
Kind of bumped him about 3 feet to the left.
Yeah.
And now,
Jesus.
this turret that I prepared earlier from Jiahu is the barrel, not going to quite find the kill on the Zed. Doimby's taking a lot of damage. They're playing with fire here, RNG, as their health bars are quite low. Swift down there as well, grabs the kill onto Lupa. As more
nice
massive soul shackles. Mata will fall down as Pekko's there. Dark Binding, not going to quite find anyone here as MLXG off to the side. QG though, 4 members strong.
Oh, no.
Oh, the ultimate doesn't quite clip it.
He gave it a good go.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to chase any further, so all or nothing, Gragas ultimate knocks them to safety. And RNG walk away limping, but with an inhibitor in their back pocket. So a massive win here for this RNG roster. So they break QG's base.
And QG are just falling apart at the seams. Swift does not look nearly as comfortable on this Gragas champion as some of his other ones. I expect that Nidalee will either be, or will continue to be, a priority pick first rotation or banned.
Yeah, I have a feeling RNG just ban it next game. They do have to work out another way to win.
Definitely agree with that. I feel like Swift is going to go to Rek'Sai next game.
Well, that's what I was expecting this game, to be honest. This Gragas pick, like, yeah, it's adapting to the meta. Swift feels hyphy, I feel like is the word to describe him. He just wants to engage when he has vision controls, whereas Rek'Sai would tunnel over, knock them up, and instantly be able to get out. Gragas is all in. Yeah, and Swift makes a mistake, it's abundantly clear.
Not quite working out. Not Pekko. Building towards the Sterix gauge.
It's interesting because QG have never really adapted to a meta. I mean, subtly so, but they've always kind of retained their identity since coming into the LPL.
The meta adapts to them.
Yes.
That's the only
That's a good way to say
feature.
it.
They change their picks maybe like once or twice.
But
like,
they
that's
don't really do, like, yeah, subtly and very slowly. I feel like they just continue to play what works for them, and the Gragas pick is just not working for them.
To be fair, right? Like, if you're a team fighting team, it doesn't matter what the meta is, because if you get to late game, you team fight. That's just how it works. There's going to be no meta where a team fight isn't involved.
Oh, Doimby, really nice dodging his skill shots there, but RNG now pressuring towards the top side of the map. Super creeps being dealt with, but Lupa's there to push them towards that nexus. 4 members of RNG now towards the top side. Doimby just putting his face in, getting rid of these creeps.
Yeah, and V's going to have to go mid lane to deal with the minion stack that is pushing on him. And Jiahu's going to get an opportunity to split. Could be considered a mistake, though, given the amount of time he's about to invest on the wrong side of the map to where Baron is spawning.
Yeah, Baron up in 2 seconds, 4 seconds on the Dragon there as well, as Doinby helping clear out this mid lane. They want to get some semblance of control back in this game on the side of QG with all of these objectives now available.
And that's the thing, RNG, they're going to go to Dragon because it's their 4th. That's why it's fine for Xiaohu to be there. They also do forego the fact that Baron is there. And QG, they started up.
This is desperation.
They do have the rend. There's a lot of damage here on the side of QG, but the teleports are in. Everyone knows what's going on. RNG, they're going to look for the fight. The spear over to the side. Marta doesn't quite land the death sentence as Pekko's still trying to put sticks into it. But MLXG over to the side. Marta is going to fall down first off here as the Baron goes down to Swift. But this could be terrible
MLXG
for QG as MLXG has gone completely nuts. The chains land quite nicely there for Doinby as V, the last man standing now. RNG tearing them apart. That is going to be the shutdown, and Xiaohu grabs himself a kill. This could be the game.
This absolutely could be the game. They're barreling down mid lane, and yeah, QG, that was desperation. They go for the Baron. They do get the Baron, but it's not going to be enough to save their health bars. And RNG, they do it in game 1.
Yep, they couldn't get it as Swift, you can see, already resigned. These Nexus turrets going to be falling down, and RNG proving their group to be definitely high contenders here as they take down QG in game number 1 of this best of 3 series.
And this is the thing about Group A, is you look at them and it's stacked with QG, but then the next best team is Team WE, Snake, EPA, LGD, and Masters 3. There's no real competition there.
Yeah. Well, we have seen, Snake doing a little bit better. There's a few teams that are definitely looking okay. We'll see whether LGD's new jungler can actually help out there. But RNG, massive props to this team. It's exactly what you were saying about Marta just having so much control around the map, but MLXG's Nidalee, just ridiculous. And Whoosh grabbing that first blood, man, everyone was performing, maybe apart from Xiaohu being a little bit quiet that game.
It's funny, too, because when MLXG first picked up Nidalee, it was not a good fit for him. He spent many games trying to master that one, but has really come full circle. And this is why we consider him the up-and-coming Chinese jungler, really looking very reminiscent of Loveland, actually, from OMG.
Yeah. These fights as well. I mean, QG, they were defiant. They tried to be aggressive and desperate with their moves, and that is a completely different side as well that we haven't seen from them. But RNG were in such control. This is all MLXG and Marta. When they get ahead, they stay ahead, and there is very little things that you can do about that.
Yeah, and I think it had a lot to do with this Morgana pick being forced out as well on the side of Moore, because he just looked so out of sorts.
I think it's so critical that teams against RNG have to pick winning lane matchups because you know exactly what they're going to do. They do the exact same thing every single game. You have to prepare yourself for the skirmish and be able to take control of the lane early and make the rotation. And I agree with you. The Morgana pick really took a lot of power out of their 2v2, and that's where the cracks started to form for QG.
Yeah. Really didn't necessarily look like it was working out for the QG roster, and maybe this is a way that that teams can start dismantling the QG side. I mean, what do QG do now? Do they make sure that they have more picks available for their support player?
They drafted well, but they drafted in the wrong order, I think is the way to look at it, is they got first picked Nidalee away from them when RNG focused the support role with their bans. They should have picked a support in their first rotation.
Well, we'll see whether they do change it up for game number 2. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll see whether QG can fight back against RNG. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our English broadcast of the Chinese LPL. We're straight into the MVP after RNG took down QG in our first versus first match, and it's going to Mata, and what a deserving player to grab it as well, dictating the flow of the game, all this sort of stuff.
Damn right.
Yeah.
That's the most deserving MVP ever.
Whoa, because I looked over at you, Rusty, and I'm like, Rusty's always like, these MVPs are ridiculous. And he had this look in his eye, and I was like, oh, hang on, wait a second. Am I saying the wrong thing here? Is it wrong again? But thank goodness.
No,
we got it right
this time. They've worked it out, the MVP givers. Thank God. We've got it. Mata played super well in that game, and it's to be commended.
Most certainly. Those death sentences that he was landing in the top lane, especially managing to lock down that first blood for Whoosh, who just went off on the Lucian, sometimes a little bit too far, as he was just using that relentless pursuit to get himself into the face of QG and dying that one occasion. But other than that, things looking brilliant. The other guy that you have to mention, the Nidalee extraordinaire himself, MLXG, just doing so much damage, throwing spears everywhere and destroying Swift's jungle.
And I want you to notice something as you continue to watch RNG. Pay attention to where Mata and MLXG are, because Mata is not Wushin's support. He is MLXG support. Those two will always be together. And that's, I think, what really has leveled up MLXG into kind of this new monster, is the fact that Mata is kind of the brain and MLXG is just the aggression.
Yeah, it's like you've got the brain and the fist, you know, so that MLXG is just going to be smacking you in the face whenever he can. And it doesn't matter which champion as well. I have a feeling that we're probably not going to see his Nidalee in game number 2.
We will not see Nidalee.
Yes, I have a feeling we're probably just not going to see it at all. But he can do this on the likes of Lee Sin as well. I mean, we saw his Graves that probably won't be played, but there are lots of other champions that he can be this level of aggressive on, and we'll see whether it's going to be the Lee Sin, whether it's going to be something else this time around.
I think Nidalee will be seen, but my bet is that RNG ban it, because
that's
QG
what I'm betting on.
First pick. Yeah, it's the knowledge of how strong the champion is. RNG very much aware of that. They first picked it from QG in that first game.
Which means I think that Rek'Sai is going to be the next big contested champion, and I think it's actually going to be Rek'Sai versus Elise.
The other thing, though, is if they ban Nidalee, they aren't banning 2 supports.
Yeah, it does unlock the Braum potentially, which would be pretty helpful for more. But you can see Alistair is going to be banned away. The Victor's there as well. RNG think that they have the recipe.
Well, I mean, okay, so if they don't ban Nidalee and they ban Braum, QG picks Nidalee.
Yep.
First rotation Thresh on RNG side.
Well, first rotation could be the Braum here for QG, but they know that they'll get one of either the Braum or the Thresh. So it may be left. Of course, Gangplank slipped all the way through the draft last time around. We'll see whether it is going to be picked up this time, as it has once again been left open. Callista there as well, a possible option. Poppy, also a big deal. But these are picks that QG managed to get and couldn't find the win.
We didn't get a sub graphic on the screen. It's actually Uzi playing.
Oh my goodness.
Yay.
Yeah, pick the Callista, QG. Let this man put you on his back.
You want Braum.
That's a big question. Okay, so in a very important series, QG 1 down, and they pull out Uzi. They actually sub their starter.
And Kog'Maw's up.
Kog'Maw.
Oh my goodness.
They can pick Braum. They can flex the Kog'Maw.
Flex the Kog'Maw?
Well, instead of Callista, sorry. Yeah, nah, flex it.
Well, you're picking between...
You got me. Well done.
Oh, Poppy.
Oh, that is dangerous
I mean, does that just
stuff.
mean immediately Kog'Maw Braum?
I wouldn't.
Oh my
Just
god.
insta-lock Graves.
Insta-lock the Graves. So he's going back to it, of course. This is the question mark. 6.3. Graves not quite as strong. See whether MLXG still going to be able to make the waves on it. We do have the Thresh being hovered. Of course, Mata was ridiculous on that champion. And this is what I'm talking about, QG. If they're going to find a way back into a game, it's give Uzi the most powerful lane in the game.
Well, yeah, that's
and let him go to town.
That's why I was recommending that RNG don't pick the Braum. They actually pick the Thresh themselves. You have to keep the awareness of Kalista still being available. So I feel like RNG's best first draft there would have been Kalista with Graves if they were going to go for something like that. But instead they went for the Braum, prioritizing the denial of Braum from Maw, as Alistar and Braum are pretty much all he plays.
Yeah, they were his champions for a very long time. But you're right, Kog'Maw Braum is going to slip through.
Again, just the speed at which Kog'Maw can proc the concussive blows makes this duo pretty potent.
Really scary. That being said, how's it going to stack against the Kalista Thresh, which is known for its incredible synergy?
It doesn't even matter what those champions are. How's it going to stack against Uzi?
But
Damn
RNG
right.
can still pick Nautilus right now and have the counter to Kalista. They've shown they can lane in it. They won standard lanes last game. Why wouldn't you?
Look at that. Just predict the Nautilus and he shall arrive. As RNG grab what was a massive part of that puzzle that they put together to take down QG in game number 1. They've got that piece right in there. We'll see whether it is going to be... Oh, it's going to be Lupa playing it. It's going to ask whether Xiaohu's going to be playing that one in the mid lane. Of course, too used to QG playing Nautilus. As Doinby, of course, has been picking that one up over and over again.
We'll see if Xiaohu can...
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Well, look, he's played Lucian in the mid lane. He's done a whole lot of different things.
I think there is a very polarizing difference between a Lucian and a Nautilus.
That is true. Range being one of them. But Rek'Sai, like you guys were talking about, is going to be locked away here for Swift. Doinby back on the LeBlanc.
I disagree with giving Swift Rek'Sai.
Why?
Just think he's too powerful of a champion. She is too powerful of a champion in Swift's
it
hands.
should have just been
okay.
globally banned.
Sorry.
It should have been globally banned before
I
the
heard
game.
that
It's
as
just a little
Swift
bit
shouldn't be
unfair.
Rek'Sai.
Oh,
That's,
no.
Sorry, yeah.
They
Swift definitely should be Rek'Sai, yeah.
Swift should 100%. I think it was wrong to prioritize Graves over Swift getting his hands on Rek'Sai. I'd rather put Swift on anything other than Nidalee and Rek'Sai.
Yep, damn right. But Xiaohu, gauntlet's been thrown. This is a matchup that actually goes predominantly in Kassadin's favor if he is going to pick it up against the LeBlanc in the mid lane.
Well, statistically, in the LPL, it's a 20% win rate for LeBlanc in the Kassadin matchup.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, but it is going to be Corki in the end. So Xiaohu, the triple AD carry comp with the Braum Nautilus.
We have a perfect kind of stepping stone for RNG's composition. You've got Graves to kind of control the early game, then you have the mid-game rise of Corki into the late game for the Kog'Maw.
All the while, Marta and Lupa always going to be relevant tanks.
Damn
to
right.
keep them alive. Lupa going to be the offensive tank, Marta going to be the defensive tank. This is actually just like a football team in a draft. They've got the offensive team, they've got the defensive team.
Who gets to be the quarterback?
MLXG is the linebacker.
Yeah,
the running back.
Definitely the linebacker. And as a range champion, it's not necessarily what you'd say, but it's MLXG, so he'll be right up in it. And I like the combination of Graves and the Braum that could potentially be roaming around the map together as well, as MLXG and Mata are known to do.
Uzi and the rest of QG's team composition, though, still ideal for what QG run. Having Poppy Rek'Sai between their jungle top lane duo is monstrous. Doinby, his best champion, and that is a Thresh Kalista for Uzi Maw.
Yeah. If there's ever a time that QG are going to win in the laning phase, it is going to be here with these picks. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to get onto the Rift. Let's do it. versus... Oh, here we are. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are under the rift. The game number 2 between RNG and QG. RNG looking to try and snake in another win. But QG doing their very best to avoid it by putting Uzi back on the roster, now on the Callista, and in a lane with a Thresh.
QG's only loss to Vici Gaming did have Uzi on the roster. Don't think it was his fault, but...
Aww, it's a reindeer Cogmore.
No, but they were playing each other's champions. This is the problem, right? Uzi was playing Ezreal, which is Pekko's champion, and then Pekko loses with Callista, which is Uzi's champion.
I'll show you how to play this.
And they've just got to make sure that they, have the right ones. As there are the deep wards.
Let's give some context. Why is it Uzi's champion, Callista?
Have you? Okay, well, we didn't necessarily see Uzi play Callista last year.
Yeah, this is the context I'm after.
Yeah.
Please explain to the viewers.
Oh, okay, yes.
Not
well,
me.
Okay. So he played it once or twice and then didn't play it ever again because it was permanently banned.
Yeah. He is way too good on Callista. That is the point that I'm trying to make here.
It was roundabout, but we got there in the end.
And the fact that he is playing it right now because Callista is no longer a banned champion. There are too many other targeted bans. Unlocks QG, honestly, and just Uzi's capabilities because you've never really seen a Callista this good. I say before he gets the caster curse.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And now he's going to feed.
I was going to say closet QG fan, and then I realized that you're just a flat-out QG fan. Well, Doinby
Wait.
getting some damage back onto Xiaohu.
I like how he'll trade the 2 creeps to punch Xiaohu in the face.
Yeah.
They both have the exact same amount of potions. It is sending a message, that's for sure.
And I just like that he's happy to go into an auto-attack trade with an AD carry, basically, as a LeBlanc. And still manages to go even.
59 AD is not bad for a LeBlanc at level 1.
Yeah. Well, level 1, generally most champions have pretty similar AD as well.
Not Corky.
Well,
There's
Loop
2
is going to teleport to a lane with 3 people. Death Sentence is going to land. Swift is down here as well. What a mistake out of RNG as he gets exhausted. First blood goes to Uzi. What was that?
I have no idea.
A massive misstep.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a giant misstep. Looper goes down. This is QG already putting into effect... RNG, sorry, putting into effect a lane swap. And Looper saying, it's alright guys, I am Nautilus.
Level 1.
I've seen QG do this once. Doesn't work like that, especially not against a Callista Thresh.
It also didn't work for QG, if I remember
No,
correctly.
it did.
Oh, did it? Right. Well.
They got lucky, though.
Yeah, Doinby doesn't find the chain. But what a start for this Callista player.
Yeah. And that's Uzi on Callista with the first blood. Polarizing difference from game 1 as well. Winning laning phase, essentially. Anyway.
Yeah, well, a lane swap scenario anyway, but both of these outer turrets are going to fall down. It is only that first blood gold that is going to separate these sides. As Looper has made his way towards the top side of the map. Marduk
Also,
going back to base.
experience from the kill. Assist gold on the kill onto Looper and the turret, exclusively given to the top laner of QG, whereas all 4 members of RNG shared that.
Oh, that's true. So possible advantage given over to V at the same time.
Yeah.
To help him out back in that matchup. That being said, Looper has been able to pick up a little bit of extra farm as he's made his way back to the lane, but you can see it's swapped on once again as Uzi and Moore move up towards the top side of the map.
It's just so different. All of these pings, teams right now, we expected Uzi and Moore to go top lane, and we assumed that RNG would do the same, but the top laners for each respective team like, well, I'm just going to stand here and get zoned in an attempt to stop them from pushing. So Uzi is frozen, which means that QG are now going to go this weird... It's a weird rotation that only really QG do. They meet them bottom and stop the freeze or the push from happening entirely by freezing.
Yeah, cancel it out.
Yeah, so they've got Swift and
More.
waiting in the wings.
You can see MLXG was towards the bottom side of the map.
They're trying to bait the dive.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like, oh yeah, you
It's
guys
about to
probably think
happen.
that you can do it as well, as that is a huge creep wave. More just standing perfectly out of range of the vision. As they're not actually pulling the trigger. There it is.
On Graves.
Yeah, in he comes as there's more, throws out the dark passages. There's the playback, but doesn't get the death sentence. V going down so low, he's now burning to death. And MLXG gets him out of the way of the turret. Quick Draw's going to get him the kill. And RNG, they say, all right, well, we'll just
Swift's
kill
in
you
trouble.
then. There's it again. Swift gets stunned up. Massive damage as Whoosh is going to pick that one up. MLXG sacrifices himself. They want the next kill. And that is 2 kills for the Cogmore. That's lane swaps, man. Like
This is just the weird thing that QG always try to do. They baited, but they baited too hard. QG, they still pushing in the top lane. They have Kalista, and Uzi's going to put some work down. They will still trade relatively even for this, but that is just outright confusing stuff here from QG because the Lantern's used for Swift.
And the thing is Wushin is actually tanking the tower right now, and it allows the rest of his team to walk back, but it wasn't even perfectly played from RNG in terms of their aggro juggling. It was simply because QG exited the tower.
Yeah.
And this is also just the really conflicting thing. It's a Braum Nautilus. There is very little situations where you will come out ahead, even when they're diving you, because the Braum passive will stun you, and it blew summoners from QG that they shouldn't have to usually burn. RNG, even though Whoosh misplayed and took the aggro, Marta played that perfectly.
Marta is just on fire today. This is definitely his day to play League of Legends, and if there's ever a player that needs to step up, and when he steps up to fantastic things happen, it is Marta.
I'm glad to see at least one World's MVP performing.
Damn right. Well, Looper is going to get death sentenced. Uzi looking for another kill. There's the Dark Passage. Uzi just says, thank you very much, and I'll grab my second.
This is the big danger point, though, right, for RNG, is no matter how unusual QG are when they try and execute on these anti-split pushes, Uzi was still farming. They got the first blood onto Uzi, now they've got a second one onto him. He's still pushing in these side lanes and is going to be massive.
Oh, Xiaohu not taking anything from Doinby here, as he even tanks up a turret shot after the combo is blown. V now has to deal with MLXG, who's like, you don't be taking my jungle.
Well, he'd be taking it.
Yeah, well, he did. RNG with a slight gold advantage. After that dive went awry, they were able to pick up the bottom outer turret there as well. So now with that lead, soon to be equalized on the side of QG in this game. So very close. With slight blunders on both sides of the map, really keeping everyone in it. These top laners well and truly behind.
RNG have a much higher priority for Dragon than pretty much anyone else in the league, though. They're always very diligent about prepping for it as opposed to just using it as a lure.
That is a 9 CS Nautilus at 8 minutes. He's on time with the clock almost for farm.
1 a minute.
You know how people
yeah.
are like 80 at 8 minutes? Yeah, I'm on 8. Literally on time with the clock. Not this extra 0.
Yeah, what is this extra 0 crap? Not good news. Misses one. No! He wants to stay on 9 so that he can actually get the 9
there
for
we
9.
go.
Oh, no,
right.
10. It's not enough minutes that are going to go by.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
He didn't actually want to be on time with the clock. It's just a lot of lane swapping and focus on resources towards their AD carry primarily, because it is a Cogmore after all. And he's got his Quinzu's Rage Blade, so Looper just needs to survive this split pushing in side lanes.
He's also got his Cole, so expect Wushin to go looking for some free farm to push down.
Yeah, he's got 8 left, I believe, on that cull, so very soon he will have that extra kill's worth of gold. Definitely good. Of course, you want to be dodging out of as much aggression as possible, so picking up that cull makes a bit of sense on the old Cogmore.
And here we go. I was wondering which side RNG were finally going to pull the trigger and start invading, but there's Mata, sticking his face in it, and there's MLXG way behind him.
Yep.
Getting told what to do by Marta.
Yeah, Marta just clearing out all of the
Another
tunnels here as well, making sure that Swift can't make his way around with that Void Rush, as he has hit that level 6 mark. Now QG able to pick up a bunch of farm underneath this turret, more aiding his top laner quite nicely, making sure that he's not going to get dove one more time. And RNG say, we'll take you, Harold. Let's do it.
But they zone Looper away for an extended period of time here, QG. Whereas on the flip side, V is still going to get that entire wave as it crashes to his turret. So a big advantage gained for this Poppy.
Really sacrificing Looper for these small objectives around the map. See if they can do work with this Herald. But they do give it over to the jungler. Naturally, it helps the jungler jungle a little bit faster, simply because you have the empowered recall as well as the movement speed.
And MLXG does want to be getting around the map as quickly as possible. Does have his Warrior enchant completed now, as well as an extra longsword. We'll see whether he goes towards the Hex Drinker, which is often picked up, or whether he wants to get that Sterix Gauge as quickly as possible. Some added tankiness. We'll see how he builds this. Graves now on 6.3. Things changed up just a little.
I don't think that Scuttle Crab had been taken. So quickly Swift just did that is, here we go. That's a red buff.
Yeah, red buff on Uzi. Lots of damage with that Rend as Lupa has to get completely out of the way. But the turnaround with the CC is actually really scary here as RNG, we're moving towards that bottom side.
I just saw one back ping onto Uzi, and I saw Uzi say no and follow the wave with an I am going to the second tower ping. It's glorious. He is so far ahead and so confident.
Yeah, and he's like, team, assist me.
Yeah, we will fight here.
Exactly. Well, bunch of caster creeps are going to make it towards his turret. Lupa hit. Ooh, man. I was ready to say hit by the death sentence because that was so close. But he's going to go wide for now. Rocket's doing some work here for Xiaohu in the mid lane as well. Does like to be on Poke Champions. Was primarily a Xerath player very early on in his career.
So. Xerath Azir, baby.
Mm-hmm. The Shurima Special. It was on sale in the shop, I think.
I feel like Uzi's mentality is I carried a team to Worlds twice.
Yeah.
I will carry you through this series.
Yeah, what are you guys doing getting off my back? Back on there. Let's take this turret.
Well, I don't think he has anywhere else to go just yet. Kog'Maw isn't going to be able to freeze, but he's pushing in that top lane. Which means that V will be addressing that. If he goes mid, then he's just taking resources from Doinby, who is happily clearing his minions in the mid lane. And so, bottom, the natural way to go. He knows he's not in danger as long as Kog'Maw was visible.
Yeah, well, there's the flayback. Box goes down. Looper in a whole host of trouble here as Uzi gets the exhaust down. There's the Rend, grabs the kill, and takes the Lantern to safety. Easy as that there for QG.
And it was only a matter of time before Uzi was going to pick up that kill in the bot lane. Good hook by Moore, however.
That's all it was going to take, was a single hook from Moore until they pulled the trigger. Remember that Uzi was 2-0 with his Blade of the Ruined King. Lupa, not even level 6 to deny Uzi. So there is this really horrible situation RNG need to address that is in that top lane champion, regardless of what lane he is in. Because if he goes top right now, look at the CS discrepancy that he's got against Poppy. RNG's effectively made Lupa useless, and he is one of the biggest carries on this team.
Yeah. But, in the end, is a Nautilus, so just needs to get to level 6, have all of his buttons, and he can be relevant. But you're exactly right. I mean, this is a guy that has been propping up the team of RNG. Certainly did in the last game.
You can only be so relevant. Like there comes a point where Poppy is going to be infinitely more relevant than you just because of all the farm he's gotten.
Yeah.
It's like your Barmy Cinder doesn't really win your team fights, even if your R-key is useful.
Well, Xiaohu was completely out of mana, as is Doinby. Both of them going to be picking up their blue buffs here. And we'll see as this game progresses whether it is just going to be QG preying on Lupa over and over again, or whether they are going to be able to find a way to get their top laner back into this game. Because right now, 50 CS behind, but when it's this, like the numbers are this low, 50 CS behind is so massive because he hasn't been able to get an item yet.
Well, he does have the Balmy Cinder, which unfortunately will not help him freeze his waves.
No, that's a hot item.
It will burn the waves.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The problem is it burns all of them and will push, which is not what he wants to do.
That's a hot item.
I don't think hot items by default push.
Oh, look at this. But Whoosh does know how to build Kog'Maw. So he's got 0 points in the queue. Doesn't care about that caustic spittle at all.
Yeah, good.
That's why Romantic lost.
Yeah.
It's because he put the points in the queue.
Actually, yes, but like moving on. We're in another series. This guy is building Kog'Maw right. Like,
yep, he's doing good.
That annoyed me.
That's what it is. I'm like, no, bring it back to this game, guys. We're losing focus. It was frustrating.
Kog'Maw suddenly becomes relevant because of a change on the W. I'm going to build Kog'Maw and not do the W change. I'm just effectively picking Kog'Maw because you want me to.
Rusty just tilted off the desk.
Yep, Dunzo. We out of here. Oh, Uzi. Oh, the secret police off to the side here in Swift and Moore. No one going to be falling for it, though. Everyone knows that people just follow Uzi around the map.
That guy's never by himself.
Damn right. But Doinby going for a dive here onto Zhao, who doesn't find this
Swift
chain, but Swift, right underneath here. But MLXG, whoop, that tower shot went for a long way.
It was pretty aggressive from Swift. Trying to poke his head in, see what he can do. Doinby missing the chain signals the lack of engage capable though. And MLXG was conveniently there, so thankfully they don't overcommit to that.
Yeah, nice positioning though. MLXG hasn't been hanging around too much. Just farming up, grabbing items, ahead by quite a long way as far as that farm is concerned. But does need to make his presence known.
What's concerning is that QG are almost never in a scenario where they're ahead by 15 minutes.
Yeah, every time they are ahead by 15 minutes, they generally convincingly close games out. It's like the polar opposite of what RNG did in that last one is, oh my god.
Yep, package delivered to Doinby. You didn't have the distortion. Look at that. The flash is used. Zhao over the top. It was a decent effort, but is able to deliver the package to Doinby.
That was fantastic from Doinby, but even better from Zhao, as he knew the W was down, so was the Mimic on it. So Doinby bides his time and just assumes there's a Q coming out, which is why you see the Duke. Zhao comes over and immediately flashes over the ultimate because he didn't want to die to it, which prompts Zhao's return flash.
Really nicely done by Zhao, and
yeah,
this is what we like seeing from the guy. It's some more aggressive play. His Zed was relatively unseen.
The ideal scenario there for Doinby was actually to flash the same way as the distortion, to bait out the flash from Zhao, which then he could have returned to his distort. But very hard to do in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, true. And also playing with walls there as well.
Yeah, walls are seen as a safe spot. You have to remember the zone that was placed down, though, effectively the equalizer from a rumble from that Corki was a no-go zone, which is why he flashed it all.
Very cute play. Really nicely answered as well from Zhao. Well, you can see after that, he has managed to complete that Hex Drinker as well as the Boots of Swiftness here for the Corki. Wanted to make sure he's as quick as possible. This is interesting. Normally we see the Sork Boots, but not this time. Uzi's got his 2 items, though. This is a very scary Kalista.
Look how aggressive he's playing as well. He knows that he's got 2 items. And he's trying to show RNG what they do.
Yeah. Death Sentence lands onto Marta. PS as well. QG don't pull the trigger. He's holding onto their vision. Dragon going to be available soon.
RNG, they've grouped up for this mid-siege. QG not really there just yet because they've got the inside track here. Royal never gives up.
Well, V still towards the top side. 50 CS lead. Well and truly still there.
The amount of rivalry in this game is actually fairly high.
Really?
The fact that, well, A, it's Uzi versus his old team.
Yeah.
Starhorn Royal Club, now known as Royal Never Gives Up. B, it's the rematch of Uzi versus Mata from the Season 4 World Championship.
It's really like Starhorn, Royal Never Give King.
Gamty.
Yeah, Never Give King Gamty up.
Yep. Gamty, my personal favorite team to have ever been in the LPL. For one split.
Well, you know who was on Gamty?
Who?
Xiaohu.
I know. Well, yes, sorry, yes.
Your favorite mid laner.
That is my boy. That is why I'm slightly biased when it comes to the old Xiaohu. I try and adjust it by saying
Why
that
would you ever be biased?
What?
It's unfair casting. Who would show bias, Atlas? That'd be silly.
Who
would
bias?
use sarcasm? That might confuse people, Rusty.
What do you mean? I don't like QG. Shut up. You shut up.
It's not bias. It's just affection. You know, I think that's allowed. 500 gold the lead for Xiaogu, though. And in any other circumstance, we'd say that means approximately nothing at 20 minutes into the game. But when it's QG being ahead in the early stages, that is definitely warning signs, especially when it's Uzi that has a lot of that lead. Over 30 CS in the lead now over the Kog'Maw.
But just look at how much slower the game is now that QG are actually in command of it. First game, you're seeing every single red buff, blue buff, herald taken and or contested. Now that RNG are kind of on the back foot, it's just QG funneling waves again. This is the one thing that they do very well, is kind of funneling the different assets of gold onto the necessary targets.
And RNG not really knowing what to do. They've just consistently grouped mid now, and they have to have a Corki eventually go split push because they don't want to share waves between their 2 primary carries. But Looper is so far behind that he needs to get the waves.
The thing that has happened, though, is that MLXG has farmed up 30 extra creeps. And he's actually, instead of building towards the Hexdrink or more of Malmortius, he wants a Ghostblade.
Yeah, with Boots of Lucidity
Have
instead of
you
Swiftness.
met him?
Yeah. Yeah, I have, but, you know.
Bit aggro.
He's certainly aggro. We'll see whether he's actually going to be able to turn that aggression towards the opponent, though. As you can see what happens when you get the Rageblade and Runan's Hurricane on Kog'Maw. Lots of spitting.
Yeah, Wushin is definitely very much online. See if he's going to go for the Wit's End or if he's looking for a QSS next. I expect it'll be the QSS against the Thresh Hooks.
RNG poking around this dragon.
They're not going to be able to secure it. The Rend is there. There's the
Wow.
flash forward from Mata as Swift is going to get stunned off the backside. Uzi still at full health, but RNG, they can't find the engagement. Both of these top laners with teleport, but they can both knock each other out of them as well, as RNG now at the inside track towards this outer turret in the mid lane.
And Uzi is back, which means that QG cannot look for the flank. This should be a free tower for RNG.
Yeah, breaking open the center of the map here as well. So important for players like Mata, who like to get things well and truly watered up. A few extra avenues as well, and RNG utilized this so effectively in game number 1. We'll see whether they can do it again in game number 2. V shows his head as QG look to try and answer that push.
And QG might get a turret back in response. We'll see. They don't have minions to tank it just yet. They understand what they want to do, though.
Yeah,
Both top laners kind of just ran at each other to stop teleport, so it was a very awkward situation for QG for that dragon. So they do trade, but one's a dragon, one's worth golden turret.
Yeah, and RNG then take the gold lead. And we might actually get an opportunity to see the power of this Kog'Maw when, of course, in our first series, it was sort of counteracted quite nicely by Invictus Gaming and what they decided to do with their team comp. In this game, Wushin might have an opportunity to sit there and spit on people.
Good old sit and spit. It's also kind of, you know, Wushin stepping up, becoming, again, I've called him this kind of mini Uzi player, very aggressive, likes to be forward. Not quite as controlled or tempered as Uzi, especially over the last year. Uzi has really kind of come into his own, matured as a player.
Oh, the package is available. RNG
They're
could
working
deliver.
top.
Oh, I just wore off, actually, as they move towards this top side. Yahoo takes a whole bunch of damage from Doinby, but Doinby has to be careful.
Teleport behind.
Yeah.
Wow, that is deep.
Yeah, he's looking for it more. Over to the side there as well, who wants to try and find the death sentence. Poppy just wandering away, just wondering what's going on here. The heroic charge is going to get Mata, but Mata doesn't really mind too much. Stand behind me is there. V does manage to get the knock up, but it's onto Mata as well, as now the fight's broken out. Doinby gets rid of the Braum, but look at Whoosh, the massive damage from the Kog'Maw in the back line, as Xiaohu's able to take down Swift. Moore's going to go down as well. Uzi trying to dance around this fight, does pick up 1 or 2, but it's a quadra kill. What the hell, Doinby cleans up the fight.
Doinby goes off in that fight. Uzi did barely anything because of the Nautilus, but this LeBlanc is a force to be reckoned with.
How?
And this is a fight of mid laners, entirely of mid laners. Xiaohu is massive. He doesn't get hit by the Poppy and just sits in the back barreling down. Doinby just kiting around his spells, slowly but surely. He's in the perfect flank that RNG have completely neglected him, because they're tunneling on Uzi, and this is where it all starts to turn around against them. At the same time as an exhaust coming out from Moore, and Xiaohu just doesn't do as much.
That Mimic distortion damage was ludicrous. One after the other. My god, and QG, they come up trumps once again. In a team fight I honestly wasn't expecting them to take. I saw Whoosh sitting there just free hitting.
It was super close, that fight. And again, that was about 500 health from Xiaohu getting a penta.
Yep.
But this is also the excellent aspect of QG. They haven't really faced any of the top-tier team fighting teams in the LPL because they're all in the other group. EDG, OMG have now shown a proficiency for their team fighting. RNG have really decent team fighting. So QG, yes, they're the kings of team fighting. They've retained their reputation from 2014, but they haven't been, or excuse me, 2015, but they haven't been tested. And this was what I was curious about is, yes, RNG have the superior macro in the early game, but how far ahead is QG's team fighting, and is it enough in a meta that's so structure dependent, that's so early game dependent?
Well, we'll see whether RNG can try and find another fight in a similar situation, because, I mean, that started off actually really, really nicely for RNG, because V got the early flank. They got a lot of extra damage down onto the Poppy.
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes out of QG in the way of starting that fight, but once it broke out, they still played it effectively, and V gave them 10 seconds notice and said, we're pretty much engaging here.
Yeah, that's how it works for QG a whole lot of the time. It's like they may be uncoordinated starting a fight, but once they're actually in the battle, things look unbelievable.
Thriving in chaos, essentially, when there's multiple people around. Target selection, communication.
Oh, nice rocket. There's the flash forward from Mata, though, as V is going to get caught out of position. Swift right into the back line as the Dark Passage does get V to safety, but the Rek'Sai might actually be out in the wrong position. Whoosh locks him down. Uncharacteristic miscommunication.
And this is the Baron started up from RNG. QG will know, but they don't have a lot of health. Or teleport on their top laner who's in base.
Now, there's a lot of extra damage over there on the side of RNG as Doinby over to the side. This Baron is getting dismantled as MLXG locks it down. More now with a nice play. And there's the Fate's call from Uzi to get him to safety. But RNG pull the trigger on the Baron, and that is the gold lead well and truly. Well, actually, the gold lead evaporated. And now the game entirely even.
And a single misstep throw RNG back in control of this. Swift just getting completely separated from QG.
Yeah, he's like, my turn for the cool flank.
That was actually V getting caught, though, and all of QG getting over-aggressive to clear wards, which came back to bite Swift because he was trying to flank to get in if a fight broke out. Instead, gets mispositioned and caught out from a Kog'Maw, whose damage is ridiculous right now.
Oh, yeah. Now builds himself that Hex Drinker as well, so Whoosh is not going to be in as much trouble from Doinby.
Teleport.
Yeah, Mimic Chains is going to land here as well from Doinby, so they have to wait a little bit of time as Looper going to find his way in. They want this Dragon, and they do manage to pick it up there as the fight now breaks off. Death Sentence is going to land onto Looper, but he's happy to soak all of these abilities. Vision now low on the side of RNG as QG do split away, but they can't pick anything up, and RNG, this is them picking things up again after falling behind in a team fight, but still able to make it work.
But they need to make the most out of this Baron right now and start sieging down these towers, which shouldn't be too difficult given Kog'Maw's attack speed. But spending an awful lot of time in River.
Yeah, it's hard to do. And RNG, they do play quite slow even when they have the Baron. They don't generally brute force their way into anything.
Maybe they understand, 380 carries, just want to scale into that late game. They've got these massive tanks for the front line. Feeling comfortable, perhaps?
Well, I mean, they've got Whoosh split pushing right now, so
it's odd.
I think that about sums it up. 3 Hex Drinkers, of course, build as well on the AD carries, so they've got their magic resistance, and with that Baron buff, if they were looking to fight, now's a pretty good time.
Yeah, gold actually now in favor of Whoosh there as well as far as that AD carry matchup is concerned, despite the CS advantage. Swift now taking some damage from MLXG, who does a bunch of work, actually. Now with almost 3 damage items built up, and this turret is definitely not long for the world. As, yep, you get some time with the Kog'Maw, he will tear things apart. QG now on the back foot well and truly.
Yeah, and the gold lead grows a little bit more in favor of RNG. Of course, not a massive deal at this stage in the game to be about 2k gold. Everyone getting their items.
Oh, Looper actually looking to try and close on this one as RNG are moving down.
Corki has a package.
He's not stopping. There's the depth charge. V going to get knocked into the air. There's the package delivered as Xiaohu right in amongst it. Dredge line lands really nicely done. V able to ult away the Corki. The last auto attack not enough as Xiaohu trying to get the work done, but he can't do it. Not enough damage as Xiaohu now using the lifesteal to try and stay alive. Fates calls down. RNG may have overextended. The box is good though.
Wow.
Everyone's
Disengage.
fine.
Wow, everyone gets out. Uzi, I thought he was about to get in on this fight as well. No Nautilus ult, no Braum ult available, but they just can't get back in. And these fights are still so close.
Yeah, Doinby as well almost dying to a Krug. Shows you how close that was. Now Xiaohu is going to be able to pick himself up a blue buff, but the Corki play, I like it. They're really proactively running around this rift.
And that would have worked if Doinby wasn't there. A very good awareness from QG.
Yeah.
To actually bring their team down in time to ensure that V lived.
Oh man, and Uzi first 1 to 3 items as well as Whoosh was sort of forced to pick up a whole bevy of different options. Bloodthirster now completed for Uzi is so huge.
QG are also in kind of an interesting situation where a single pick won't really grant them any towers. They need to start taking down this freestanding gold. But even if they catch Xiaohu out, they still have to deal with the wave clear from Wushin. Even if they catch both Wushin and Xiaohu, you still have decent wave clear on MLXG's Graves as well as Looper. They pretty much need to win an entire 5v5 before any sort of tower pushing can happen.
Well, I wonder if QG are known for their ability to 5v5.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, the sarcasm, I gotta stop. I feel like it's probably throwing people.
I just feel like the issue is that the versatility in their composition about how it needs to win against this one is pretty one-dimensional, where I feel like RNG have a lot more options for them.
And no top laners are adapting and getting ZZ Rock Portal at all in the LPL.
No, it's not an LPL
The only
thing.
person that has got it has been a support so far.
I spent like 45 minutes doing the breakdown of the gold efficiency of ZZ Rot, everything that it'll do. I'm ready to talk about it. I got the speech written. They're like, nope.
So you did it, Frosker, and you caster cursed it out of existence.
But like, again, so like it would be such a good pickup in this game.
Yep.
This is a Poppy against the Nautilus top lane. If Looper had it, and with the CS discrepancy that he has, he could just group when he throws down the portal.
You're also against massive forms of mixed damage. It's one of the few items that gives you both armor and MR.
Uzi.
Oh, yeah, Uzi going to get caught out of position. The stun is going to land, but he manages to take the... Oh my god, MLXG! Off on the backside, he gets exhausted, but they do get rid of Uzi. More going to flash over the wall, but of course MLXG flashes after him. Whoosh is actually able to pick that one up with a living artillery. Has this Graves done enough work as RNG now close in on QG? There's the depth charge as Looper's looking for Swift. It's a little bit optimistic though, but there's the Winter's Bite. The auto attacks are going to fly out as Xiaohu now looking to try and collapse under this one. They're throwing out more doors and in goes Xiaohu, grabs the kill, and Doimby, he has to be the hero for QG.
And he's not going to be there in time to help them with that team fight. Completely caught out of position is Uzi and more. And QG, they lose their inhibitor. And that is not a situation you want to be in at 32 minutes.
And this is so weird as well because QG had the lead in the early game. We thought that this was going to be the moment where they were going to be able to hold on to it, but RNG able to turn the whole thing around. This team comp is doing terrifying things. MLXG just erupted into that fight.
QG have not been tested yet, and this is their first one, but here we go.
But that jump into Marta was just outright careless. There's, of course, the flank who puts down an abundance of damage, MLXG. He will eventually go down as he gets hyper-aggressive and flashes after more. But Doinby, nowhere to be seen, completely zoned by Looper and Marta with positioning. They get a flank. It's just inevitable that everyone's going to go down.
Marta has been playing so utterly well.
Absolutely.
Look at that. Lands every single Winter's Bite. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He
Super smart play.
deserves back-to-back MVPs for this. It's MLXG. Look at him going nuts.
This is first v first.
Yeah.
And they are now ahead by 3k gold in game number 2 with 1 up.
They are going to grab the Dragon lead here as well. Extending it. 3-2 now in favor of RNG. Bloodthirster completed here for Whoosh. He's going to have that overshield, and when you're attacking that much, Lifesteal does a bit
That
of
was
work.
from a BF sword as well.
Yep.
Just outright.
He had no
Bloodthirster.
other option. He just had a full inventory.
I think his option was not to have the other full inventory.
Yeah, well, that's true.
He was going to go for it. Costs a lot to get just a Bloodthirster, so
Yeah, I think it's like 2,700 or something, isn't it?
yeah, about that. And this is still Uzi not respecting who he's up against. He actually walks into the face of Marta, who auto-attacks him to get the passive going.
He also went Bloodthirster into Last Whisper, which is another sign of that, because often we see Steric's Gauge, things like that, on these Callistas, because they are so short range.
I don't mind the Bloodthirster. He's locked down for a long time, so needs double lifesteal to stay in these fights after the burst. Of course, the Overshield should keep him there. Steric's Gauge, I would imagine, is picked up after the Last Whisper is upgraded.
He is going to do that right now, so the Pillager is now there. Uzi now 4 items strong. Still ahead as far as major items completed is concerned against Whoosh, which is a big deal. Let's see what this Callista is able to do in the next team fight.
The issue is that RNG's team composition have the answers to deal with Uzi's Callista. The fact that you have the Nautilus as well as the Braum.
Yeah?
So massive forms of CC that really do well against her, whereas there's not really an answer to Whoosh unless Doinby gets right on top of him.
There's like a 70 CS advantage for top laners, but V's just not impactful because he's dealing with MLXG, who then has to deal with Xiaohu and then Whoosh, because it's cascading ranges before you can get to the backline.
Yeah, now more of Malmortius completed for MLXG. He's now going for what looks like a rapid-fire cannon as item number 4, not stepping away from damage items here on this Graves. And personally, I think it's great. I mean, in that last fight, he just bursted everyone to about nothing to start things off.
That's all he needs to do. Again, they've got the Braum Nautilus combo, so strong front line. The 3 damage carries is all they actually need.
And that mixture of magic damage as well available from the Cogmore, from the Corki, means that you can have 380 carries but still have a massive mixture of damage. Very cool team comp.
Thankfully for QG, the inhibitor that is broken is their top lane. So it's close to Baron. And Kallista's very good at farming those waves up. 370 CS, 36 minutes. Uzi's doing his job.
Oh yeah.
The question is this team fighting, and can he replace Pico in QG when it comes to team fighting?
Yeah, can they keep that level of coordination?
That's like,
RNG, this is...
What?
This is... Okay. Wow.
You have been outplayed.
That
doesn't make sense.
That's got to be...
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That's a problem. Swift. Oh, there's the ultimate actually out of Mata, but they don't lock down the Rek'Sai.
The lantern was there, so he ulted for the lantern and tunneled to the opposite direction, Swift.
How that ward isn't seen, I have no idea.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
RNG still in control.
Yeah, most certainly are. QG not moving towards that Baron unless it is going to be started up though. And he threw a scrying orb into the pit as well. So most definitely sure, but look at these super creeps now cascading towards the Nexus turrets. You can see the inhibitor about to respawn as V's going to go back to base. Uzi and Moore also heading back there. They must defend it. Inhibitor respawns. Now they get to reset. And we'll see whether QG can find the team fight that they're looking for. Now able to get a little bit of vision back as well.
Really respectful backs from RNG, and to QG in general. The fact that you saw that your super wave was going to be applying pressure into QG's base and you don't decide to pull the trigger on Baron there, but instead make the cautious back to pick up pink wards so you can start really clearing out.
Yeah.
Damn support mind games.
Mm-hmm.
The second you clear a ward, they place another one. It's just like, oh. This took me 3 seconds.
Well, QG do get a lot of vision down around this Baron.
They do.
Whoosh did pick up the Maw of Malmortius. Only that Mercurial Scimitar, and it'll be a 6-item Cogmore. We all know that that is not something that you want to be up against, ever.
Big issue for QG is they're about to lose all of this vision right now, is that they only have a single blue trinket left up. Thank goodness they have the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, that cheeky little ward, I believe, has timed out now as well for QG. They are just moving up this mid lane. They might be able to grab the outer turret as the RNG are now thinking that they'll go for a base race.
And it's kind of fine if RNG showed themselves, but immediately you can see QG, they stop the recalls. They're aware. This is a big mind game. Doinby's going to recall.
Yeah, it's all about where that vision is available as well as they've pulled the trigger.
V's too late.
Just rushing down this inhibitor. It will go. V now still backing. You're exactly right. So, more over the top. Does have the lantern there for vision. Teleported to now for V as he wants to find the flanking play. Looper in a good position.
Good
uses
hook.
the anchor to get himself to safety, but you can see more right in there. Just gets deleted. Xiaohu there as well. Massive knockups now available as the Fate's Call comes in, but look at the ultimate. Out of V, Uzi gets hit by the anchor. It's a double kill for Xiaohu as he's going off in this fight, dashing forward. Doinby able to pick up the kill under Looper, but you can see the Cogmore able to do so much work here in the back line. Whoosh just tears them apart, and this could be the end of game number 2 as Xiaohu picks up the full house full of Cogmores.
And RNG just go off. Their team composition looks near unbeatable. QG, they play desperately for that engage, and I have to question it, but it doesn't matter because that's the base, and that is QG's first defeat.
Yeah, and look at these guys. They're so happy on your screen. RNG, deserved victory. man, incredible play out of these guys. And that was after being down in the early game against QG.
No.
This win is just insane.
Massive props to RNG. They look like a phenomenal team right now. One that could compete with EDG when they're on their prime. Of course, they got blown out by Team WE. There was a lot of people, scratching their head. RNG, are they inflated in the rankings? They haven't faced a true test. They dodged EDG in week 1 because EDG didn't have clear love. Managed to take the victory there. And this is kind of the next elite team that they've actually faced. And did it in resounding form.
Yeah, back-to-back as well. And look, I was actually questioning it after the first game because QG, they sometimes have these falterings. We saw it last week. They fell down in one game, but then the rest of it was dominant. But here, RNG, 2 different strategies, 2 completely different team comps, managing to make it happen in the end. That second game was much closer, though. And look, Uzi on the Callista just couldn't bring it in the end.
But they built a team composition around killing him, 100%. When QG win a team fight, it was a quadra kill for Doinby, just plain and simple.
Yeah.
LeBlanc had to go off, and he couldn't actually get it done against all of these teams stacking magic resistance and focusing Uzi. That was a very clear defined strategy. RNG, they implement that strategy to a T.
Yeah, I really, really liked how it worked there as well. But as far as what this means for these 2 groups as well is really interesting because we were talking about the fact that Group A not looking as strong as Group B, but that is definitely proven right now because QG, the team that we were thinking was far and away one of the best teams here in the LPL, still definitely is, but RNG managing to take them out so handily. Whoa, scary stuff. As this is the recap of the day, IG managing to take down EPA in back-to-back games. Fantastic performance out of them as well as RNG. It was a quick night when I definitely wasn't expecting it to be, but 2 games as well up against QG.
I feel like the LPL just got a lot more interesting. We talked about kind of the rise of the mid-pack and the elite fumbling a little bit. It's nice to see, again, some falters, some exposing, but the fact that EDG turned up in form in Game 3 against Team WE, RNG turned up in beautiful form against QG.
Well, World Elite is also one of the few teams to beat RNG.
Yep.
And to take EDG to 3 games.
Invictus Gaming looking much better than they have ever before.
Absolutely.
Look at the standings as well. I mean, 6-2 for RNG there at the top.
We got a horse race.
5-2 for IG and for EDG. It's a very, very tight-knit group. And you can see next, tomorrow, it is going to be HYG taking on Masters 3 first. WE versus Vici is game number 2 as this middle-of-the-pack battle happens. And then EDG versus Snake. And as far as cross-group, I'm so excited to see EDG versus Snake. EDG, the laning kings, the guys that are so good when it comes to just playing standard crisp League of Legends. And then Snake, the team that will swap no matter what.
Pretty much, and that's exactly what we'll see. A lot of questions need to be raised tomorrow. Vici World Elite as well.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy matchup, to say the least. I think the middle of the pack is the best way to describe that. These teams, World Elite, again, they're a team that beat RNG. RNG's beat QG. They could work their way up the ladder and really cement their position at second or challenge first in Group A.
Yeah, and it's these teams in Group A as well that really need to start proving themselves as well. We've been talking up Group B. Group A, you've got to start getting the hunger and starting to get up towards this QG style because, I mean, this group, I mean, we've been talking down to them.
We need better names for groups. Group A and Group B, it just feels so basic.
It's pretty much the Chow Gu group, which is Group A, and then it's Chow Group. Yep. That's a good one. And then
the RN group.
I still feel like it's EDG group or the EDG conference.
Yeah.
I like EDG conference, yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Snake's
boardroom.
Snake's boardroom.
Snake's boardroom.
That is fantastic. Yep. Then there needs to be a better one for Group A now because Snake's boardroom is just so good.
They are in Group A.
Oh, wait. Okay, Snake's boardroom is Group A. So
yes.
Group B, what is that one going to be then? Is that just the Edward Gaming Group?
I've got nothing off the top this time.
It's the ED group.
Man.
ED
Fresh
group
out of
in
ideas.
Snake's boardroom.
Oh, that's brilliant. So Snake's boardroom there. The other thing that we want to talk about here is the fact that Hyper Youth Gaming, now up against M3, this could be their very real opportunity to pick up a victory here as well. And HYG has been a team that's been struggling a whole lot, but they have shown flashes of brilliance. There are sort of these ways for them to possibly take games. And against M3, be really interested to see whether they will be able to actually bring it to them, because M3 is a team that has been struggling just a little bit.
Yeah, M3 have shown a lot of problems in their roster. I think that the lack of stability hurt them at the start. But HYG, again, they're a team that they showed that they've got the capabilities to play solid League of Legends, have a strategy when they come into the game, and implement the strategy effectively. They could take M3 by surprise.
Well, we'll see whether they do, but still at the very top of the table now. Just to recap, guys, RNG were able to take down QG. As far as what this means as well internationally is the fact that both of these teams could potentially be going to IEM, and now QG falling against RNG. But here is the MVP. Once again, it's Mata. No question. Just flat out incredible play from that guy.
An incredible series. Just influential in everything.
I think it's safe to say the entire series was on his back. MLXG outperformed as well, Swift. But overall, supports was the major difference. And you look at these teams across the board as well, and it's like V, he's said to be weaker than Looper if you look at the players as a matchup, but the bottom lane was always Mata stronger than Moore. And that is solely because Mata controls the entire map, whereas Moore is like, in regards to controlling the map, he feels like a second-class support, but in terms of team fighting, keeping his AD carry alive, there aren't that many that do it better than Moore, and it just didn't come down to that in the end.
No, just they sort of fought away from fronts that Moore is used to as well, and especially out of his comfort zone. So he was playing the Thresh and the Morgana, of course, showed a little bit more, I guess, proficiency on his Thresh play, but when he's not playing Braum Alistair, he just doesn't look like the same level of support. Moore is...
He's a playmaker.
He's a playmaker, but he also wants to be a tank for the team and just doesn't seem to feel as tanky on the likes of, well, especially not Morgana or the Thresh, who can be known to get quite tanky.
I mean, it's, as Rusty said, Moore will sacrifice himself for his AD carry and for his team. He'll flash in. I mean, the other big champion for him is Annie. Obviously, she's not quite fitting into the meta as nicely as she would have, but Alistair and Braum really compensate for this idea that Moore is going to go in no matter what. On those champions, he's able to walk away. On Morgana and Thresh, not so much.
Most certainly not, and that was proven tonight. So maybe RNG have found themselves the Achilles heel of QG. But that's all that we have for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, more action tomorrow and the following day. But on behalf of myself, Frosker, and Rusty, and our whole production team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.